Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Noodles at Noon, the show that focuses on things that are not worth focusing on. I am your host, who didn't realize it had been a month since we recorded a podcast. Hi, it's me, Ben, and we're joined, as always, by our good friend and co-host, Noah. Oh, wait, who is a casualty of Spikeball madness. It's Noah.
The only slightly concussed Noah.
Slightly
We'll
concussed.
see. This is the terrible things that I usually say on this podcast. It's going to get even worse today. I'm even more unhinged and unfiltered.
He had a thigh-to-head contact today while playing Spikeball. And after about 20 minutes, he finally stood up. And he says he's good to go. Got back in the game. Wobbled around a little bit. But I think we're good.
Yeah, it'll be fine. My
fine,
pupils are like totally different sizes.
I can tell.
What are other concussion symptoms?
I don't know. We're actually going to do a whole concussion protocol test over the podcast.
We should bring Michael in to do that.
We should. But thank you all so much to listening to Noodles at Noon. You can catch us anywhere podcasts are available, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Anchor, and coming to you live this week from Blockbuster Video and other places that don't exist anymore, like our upload schedule. Or you can check us out on our website, noodlespodcast.com.
Noodlespodcast.com.
Where you can do wonderful things like listen to our entire library of episodes, play a game if you can find it, read more about us, and also join our Discord or leave us a speak pipe. Noah, do we have any speak pipes from this past week?
We don't have any speak pipes from the past month, so Brian, better get on that.
Brian, that one's on you. I'm not taking the blame for that one.
Yeah, that's exclusively on Brian. If anyone else wanted to contribute a speak pipe, we'd be open to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of Brian's corner, so you'd be kind of stepping on his toes a little bit, but we'd accept it.
I think it's high time we give Brian some competition, though. Right?
Yeah. See if you can talk for 90 seconds straight. Go to noodlespodcast.com.
Noodlespodcast.com.
Go to contact us and then hit the big orange button to leave your speak pipe today.
And join the Discord. We'd love to talk to you. You can hang out. You can watch Noah play Alien.
Yes. It's very scary.
Which is like Among Us, but is exactly like Among Us.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Among Us. It's a good time. Everyone's laughing. You're throwing people off the spaceship. Should I talk about... That was on my list to talk about. I can just launch into my weekly update.
Yeah. Hey, Noah, how was your last week's last month?
Noah, how is your Alien game? So
Noah, how is your Alien game?
I've talked about it in the Discord a little bit because I'm really into it right now. But I've never played like a true horror video game before. I'm not that big into horror. Like, I don't really go out of my way to seek out horror, but... I do really like the movie Alien, like a lot. Like, it's a really good movie. And I recently got this game, Alien Isolation, came out in like 2013, 2014. Got it for free, and it's just been sitting on my computer for, I think, over a year at this point, just waiting to be played. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm in a mood for something kind of scary. Let's check this out. And very quickly, I realized I did not want to play this game by myself. Because sitting in the like dark basement by myself, it was too much. So I decided to start like streaming it into our Discord. So anybody who's in Discord can just join our chat and they can watch me play the game and we can talk. So Michael and I mostly have been playing through this Alien game, and it's great. You're trapped on a space station. There are like killer robots that are out to get you. There's an alien on board that's trying to get you. And you have to like do a lot of stealth maneuvers. Like, you're trying to get to certain parts of the space station, but like you can see the alien crawling around and he's trying to like hunt you down basically. So you're like hiding under tables and ducking into rooms, hiding in lockers. I don't know, Ben, what are your thoughts having watched a little bit of it?
I have watched a little bit of it. I'm not a huge fan of like horror, suspense, scary things. I like Hallmark movies. I've never seen Alien or any of the other Alien franchises things. But my point of view from watching it, it seems like a game that isn't really all that intense or difficult until it is. Like, just watching you're like kind of just like walking from room to room trying to find a key card, and then all of a sudden you'd be screaming. Like, there's just no in between with the game. It's like you're either looking for a post-it note, or you are hiding in terror or being murdered by an alien. And those are the sort of mood swings that I don't handle well.
Yeah, Ben was watching football and like kind of watching the game out of the corner of his eye when we played the other night.
Yeah. Football was only slightly more palatable to watch than the Alien game.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think my favorite moment, and Ben was there for it, was I'd just done all this work and I hadn't saved in a long time. And you have to get to certain parts of the space station to like save your game. And so I was one room away. I hadn't saved in probably 15 minutes, and I saw the little save thing right in front of me. I just had to go through this door. And I was like, okay, we're going. And I opened the door, and the alien was standing right there, like right next to the door, and we immediately died. And I know Michael and I screamed. I'm not sure if Ben was paying attention, but
I wasn't paying attention. I was doing something on my computer. Oh, I was editing a video. And
that's right. Yeah.
I was like watching seconds before it happened, and then I got like a little thing like, oh, this video has finished exporting. So I like switched over to start doing the whole like, oh, I got to upload it here, do this, this, and this to make sure everything's all in the right place. And as soon as I switched to that screen, everyone started screaming. Yeah. So I didn't get to see it, but I heard it.
The best contribution, though, is by Michael, who started bringing his soundboard to our recording or our streaming sessions. And so we'll be like tucked away in a locker with the alien right outside, like trying to hold in our breath so the alien doesn't hear us. And then Michael will just start blasting like random TikTok clips and music clips, and and you have to use sound quite a bit to know like, oh, I hear the alien in my right ear, so I know the alien's to the right. And sometimes it's a little difficult when there's
it just adds to the, if you're ever stranded on a spaceship and you're trying to hide from an alien, I do dearly love our friend Michael, but he might not be the best one to be with. If he has his soundboard with him.
If he doesn't have a soundboard, he's a great companion, great guy.
Yes. But if he brings the soundboard with him, well, I don't know if that'd be better or worse, because at least you die in a slightly entertaining way.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I really appreciate the soundboard because it makes the mood a lot lighter. Like, it's very easy to get really wrapped in the intensity of the moment. And it's much easier if there's just, like, I don't know, random people singing or screaming or yelling random memes. It just makes it, like, you die more often, but you die more enjoyably. So it's a good trade-off.
Yeah, it's a give and take. So outside of the game Alien, it is your favorite time of the year, arguably the most wonderful time of the year for Noah.
Columbus Day.
How many pumpkin spice lattes have you consumed?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 this month.
That's 1 a week.
3 from Starbucks and 1 from Genesis Coffee. The Genesis Coffee one was probably my favorite one.
Who made you that one?
A local. My wife made me that
one. So there's no bias as to whether or not it's actually your favorite. No, yeah.
Well, she kept asking me, like, well, do you want extra whipped cream? And I was like, sure. And she's like, well, do you want, like, caramel sauce? Sure. Well, do you want, like, little crunched up nuts in there? Sure. And it just became, like, this giant... Yeah. It was more expensive than the Starbucks one, which is kind of hard to believe, but...
Anyway, I've had one pumpkin spice latte, and it was a pumpkin spice frappuccino. So it was one of the cold mixed ones with, like, all the whipped cream, frothy, caramelly goodness. Still wasn't that good. I just can't do it, man. It's just it's just lacking something that I think you think is there but isn't actually there. Like joy.
Pumpkin, it's all about the attitude. Like, the pumpkin spice latte chooses you. It decides whether you're worthy of experiencing the level of euphoria that it is capable of bringing. And if you go into it with a bad attitude, that's what you're going to get.
The first time I had one, I feel like I went into it with such gumption. And I was just disappointed.
It's like predestination. It's predestined whether you will like or dislike pumpkin spice latte. It's the same with cilantro. The cilantro chooses whether you're worthy of experiencing its glory or if it just tastes like soap.
I think that's genetic.
Yeah, it's predestination in your genes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it runs in the genes. On the cilantro aversion thing, I think we've talked about this before, but I can't say with any certainty that cilantro doesn't taste like soap to me, but I also can't say with any certainty that I'm okay with that, or that I'm not okay with that. It kind of tastes like soap, and I also kind of like it. So I don't know if that counts as a cilantro aversion or if I'm just weird.
That's quite an outlier take, yeah, because you're firmly anti-cilantro or pro-cilantro, but you're like, I think it tastes bad to me, but I like the taste of the badness. So, I don't know. It's just another thing that makes you, Ben.
I don't like the tastes of all bad things, because then I would like pumpkin spice lattes.
You know what? I'm gonna start a podcast with Brian. I'm gonna join his podcast.
Journeys of Pumpkin Spice Latte Bros. Does he like pumpkin spice lattes? Have we talked about this with Brian?
I have no idea. I'm going to write him in the Discord and ask him right now.
My dears, okay, speak pipe question of the week. Pumpkin spice lattes. Do we like them? Do we not like them? Is this a conversation not worth having?
Yeah, probably that one.
Because if you think so, then you need to find a different podcast, because show that focuses on things that are not worth focusing on.
Yeah.
I will say we've had some decently important conversations. When we had the Riverside on, that was an interesting conversation. I think it was a worthwhile conversation and worth talking about. But we've had other worthwhile conversations, I believe.
Yeah, there've been one or two in there.
Mixed in. It's like a 1 to 10 ratio.
It's like a little golden nugget mixed in just a bunch of what's something unbalanced? A bunch of slag. You know, you got to root through all the slag to get to that little golden nugget. And it's like, oh, I got to hear Ben read the script to Star Wars Episode 3.
And that was worthwhile. So, something I want to bring up, and I'm not sure if you've seen this, and I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but at McDonald's, they are selling a limited edition adult Happy Meal, which comes with like retro toys and just other different sort of like throwback to when we was young, and getting a Happy Meal. Do you think that you would want to get an adult Happy Meal, or are you just completely moved on from that portion of your life?
Not for these toys. These toys kind of creep me out, honestly. If you haven't seen it, you should look up the adult Happy Meal toys. They look like voodoo dolls to me. Like, they have 4 eyes. They're all messed up.
You're right.
I think the only thing that would make me want to get the kids' Happy Meal again is if they brought back the Sonic the Hedgehog game toys. They were like the little, I don't know what you call them, but like the black and white screens where like they're not pixels, but it just like they're predetermined images that can either light up black. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. When like somehow video games came in Happy Meals.
Yeah, and like that's a good deal.
They weren't like huge technological advancements. They were pretty simple things, but the fact that it came in a Happy Meal is pretty crazy.
Yeah, okay, I just found the picture. This was like, I remember begging to go to McDonald's because I wanted to get more of these toys. Like they had a Super Monkey Ball one, they had a Sonic one. Oh, no. I'm looking at a wrong set. There was one that had like, they were all playing sports. It was very weird. Like Sonic is playing baseball and Shadow is playing hockey, or just like, I don't know. Yeah. It didn't make any sense, but I was all about it.
Speaking of these Happy Meal things, McDonald's limited edition adult Happy Meal toys are listed for as much as $300,000 on eBay. Not like the OG ones, the new one.
Ben, I have a business proposal for us. Let's go to McDonald's.
I was thinking, like, what if we went to... I might go to McDonald's tonight to see if I can get an adult Happy Meal, because that actually sounds like kind of a fun thing to do. But I don't know. They might be sold out already.
I don't feel like that $300,000 is going to sell, though. That's the thing. Like, you can list it on eBay for anything.
Let's see. Best offer was accepted.
It's probably like $100.
Yeah, I don't know what the best offer was. The seller is from Larkspur, Colorado.
Oh, hey, that's not too far away from.
No, it's not. We could
Fairbanks,
go track them
Alaska.
down. No.
Well, Ben, we've talked about some things I got up to this week with some scary aliens and other things I think we talked about as well. What's been up with you?
Oh, not a whole lot. I've just been, this past month has been a lot of kind of working, and I brought up the Happy Meal thing because I'm genuinely racking my brain to kind of be like, what is something that I want to talk about from my life from the past month? The only real, like, interesting thing that I did this past month. I mean, I've done lots of really small, interesting things, like just hung out in my basement, hung up some more stuff on the walls so it feels more like a home. And I know I've talked about this in years past, but it's something that I do annually that is always a good time, was going to the Corgi Festival.
Yes.
And one of the, like, highlights this year, even though I didn't even get to see this, was that my boss was one of the judges at the Corgi Festival. So when he got the email, it was pretty funny because, like, he got the email and he was like, "What even is the Corgi Fest?" And I was like, "Let me tell you, the Corgi
I know
Fest
all about that.
is the greatest thing that our town has to offer, because for whatever reason, in the month of October, hundreds, if not thousands, of people just bring their corgis, line up, and go on a parade that is, from what I could tell, unauthorized, because they don't close down any streets, and they don't, like, they rent out the area, but the parade just kind of abides the laws of, like, the crosswalk signals.
They have no police reinforcements. It's just kind of a free-for-all.
And, like, you can't just not tell people to not organize a big walk, which is essentially what it is. Like, you can't tell people to not all walk 1,000 dogs at the same time. It's not 1,000. It's maybe like 200. You can't tell people to not walk 200 dogs at the same time. But yeah, and there's just a bunch of corgis dressed up as different things. Some of my favorites. There was a Dema-Corgi. So it was dressed up like a Demogorgon from Stranger Things, but it was a corgi.
Oh.
So it was a Dema-Corgi. Some other good ones. My favorite, I'll send pictures. So they'll be on the website. Make sure you check that out, noodlespodcast.com.
Noodlespodcast.com.
My favorite was this massive chocolate lab dressed up like a corgi. So it wasn't even a corgi, but it was dressed up like a corgi. That brought me great joy. There was plenty of hot dogs, even though they weren't wiener dogs. They were corgis. Tons of hot dogs. Hot dogs. One of my favorites, there was a dog dressed up like Wonder Bread, because, you know, corgis kind of look like a loaf of bread. So it was Wonder Bread. But undoubtedly the best part, or I think the most weird kind of quirky part of the entire thing, was they had anyone who dressed up like the Queen, because, like, the owners of the dogs also dressed up, and they, like, had anyone dressed up as the Queen with her corgis go first through the procession of corgis as kind of like paying tribute to the Queen.
What happened to the Queen's corgis? Do we know? Where do they go?
Oh, they're all shot and dead now.
All right, we'll just move on.
Moving on from that. No, I don't think they're dead. I think the corgis are still being cared for by the royal family. As far as I know. I apologize for that joke. But beyond that, there was a thing where the queen, at a certain point, I can't remember how long ago it was, but she told the like corgi breeder to stop breeding corgis for her because she didn't want any of the corgis to outlive her. Or she didn't want there to be like kind of like a burden on people to take care of her aging corgis, which I can't really imagine that she was doing most of the caretaking for the corgis to begin with.
The King of England just has so much stress trying to keep England afloat. He doesn't need 2 corgis to take care of when he gets home.
Yeah, he doesn't. Is it? What's his name? King Philip? What's his name?
I already
Charles. Forgot. Oh, you're right. It's Philip. King Charles. Oh, it is Philip?
No, is it? No, it's Philip. What's the name of the king now? That's a movie. It's showing me Burt Reynolds. I don't think that's his name.
Burt Reynolds. Okay, King Burt Reynolds.
King Charles the Third.
Okay, so you were right. King Charles.
Okay.
There was a corgi that was wearing like a king's crown instead of a queen's crown. So there was a corgi Charles at the corgi festival. But yeah, I don't think the queen or the king or anyone was really doing a whole lot of the heavy lifting with the corgis. But,
yeah.
You know.
She probably has somebody for that.
But if you ever are in Fairbanks, Alaska at the beginning of October, there is a grand chance that you will have the opportunity to go to the Corgi Fest. And it's not actually called the Corgi Fest. I don't know why I keep calling it. It's called Tour de Corgi.
That's right. Yeah, I was sad we had to miss it this year. We were out of town, but maybe next year. Next year we'll get back, and maybe we'll dress up Mochi as a corgi.
I think Mochi will handle that well.
Mochi being surrounded by hundreds of dogs. That sounds like her dream.
What if you got me to dress up Mochi? What if, like, you guys were gone and I just showed up at your apartment by myself and then tried to, like, force some sort of, like, doggy costume onto Mochi?
I would like to see you try. Actually, I wouldn't, because I think you would get hurt. I don't see you getting out of that alive.
Yeah. Well, transition. Whoosh. Da 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 da. I just pounded the piano that I have right here. That's something else I've been doing this past month. Now that I've kind of like settled into my new area, I have Noah can kind of see this, but no one else can because we're on a podcast.
Yeah, you didn't make your bed.
Yeah, I didn't make my bed. The past couple days for work, because I work from home, someone has called me very like right when work starts. So I look a little bit disheveled and still wearing my pajamas, and my bed's not made, which is right in the background of my screen. So I do feel kind of awkward about that. But anyway, now that I've kind of settled into my area, kind of like more making it my own, I've had the chance to like set up some more of my music stuff and recording stuff, which has been really fun. Kind of getting back into that because I kind of stopped doing that. I did it pretty consistently for a while, but now I'm kind of getting back to that, and it's a lot of fun.
Have you been recording, like, do you have any songs recorded?
That's for me to know and you to never find out.
That's going to be a podcast exclusive.
Yep.
Stay to the very end of this podcast, and you will hear 3 new singles off Ben's album.
Amen to that. Noah, do you have anything that you would like to use as a transition into our thought exercise / experience?
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that we are not above copying TikTok. We may make fun of TikTok, we may slander it here, but our game, or whatever you want to call it this week, it sounds like it originates from TikTok, but Ben, I think you're going to have to explain that a little more.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I saw it on TikTok, which I don't think I did. I think it was one of those shticks where it was like on TikTok and someone put it on YouTube Shorts or whatever.
Yes.
So I think I saw it on YouTube, but it's
That's how I watch
definitely
all
a
my
TikTok
TikToks.
thing. It's me too. Even though I have TikTok, I'd never go on it. But the idea, it's not really a game. I think of it more of a thought exercise, and I think there's something to this. The reason I think there's something to this is it kind of makes you think about what you enjoy and also why you enjoy those things. Something that I would do often when I'm talking to people is I like to ask them what the third best part of their day was, because it makes them think about what other two parts of the day were also good, but were better than that third thing. This is kind of like that. This is a draft, so kind of like a mock draft that you do for fantasy football or sports or whatever, of all of the second best things. Things that are still very, very good, but there's like one thing that's better than it. An example of this would be one guy on the TikTok or short that I watched said the Yahoo search engine. It's pretty good, but Google is obviously number one. Yahoo search engine is two. Another thing that the guy said was Luigi. Luigi is awesome and does many great things, but Mario's the one that gets recognized. So it's maybe not second best things, but things that come in second place for whatever reason. And so we have compiled a list. We're going to do 5 and 5, even though I have a few more than 5. And we're just going to, talk that through about why these things are second best, but why they're still good. So Noah, I think I'm going to let you have the first pick.
All right. Well, my first pick is going to be real common for iPhone users, but I feel like it's enough of a meme that even my good Android user friend Ben is going to understand this. So my first pick for second place is Apple Maps.
As soon as you started talking about that, I was like, oh, he's going to say Apple Maps, because he's 100% right.
But in fairness, like I can't remember when it happened, but because the Maps app on iPhone was by Google Maps. And then once Android started kind of up and coming and Google and Apple kind of parted ways, then Apple had to rush and create their own Apple Maps. I think it was iOS 6. It was a long time ago. And ever since iOS 6, I have used Google Maps. Like every other human being with an iPhone, you get the iPhone out of the box, you download Google Maps. It's what you do. It's like when you get a new computer and you use Safari or Internet Explorer to download Chrome. That would have been a good one. I didn't I didn't even think about that. But Apple Maps, I have just recently started using it again. And I have to admit, it's actually pretty good now. Like it
does, yeah.
The voice, the like lady that talks to you when you're driving, I feel like she communicates to you possibly better than the Google Maps lady. Like she says things that are smarter, like go past this light and turn right at the next light, which is really nice when you have two lights.
I've noticed that, yeah.
And it's like, that's really smart.
My parents both have Apple products, so they use Apple Maps. And I have noticed, like, when I'm riding with my dad somewhere, it'll be like, just past this tunnel, take the next left onto, and I'm just like, it kind of like, it's pretty smart. It was kind of funny.
Go ahead.
My mom the other day, she was going through her phone. She was like, Ben, why do I have 2 maps? Why do I have 2 map apps? And I was like, well, one of them is Apple and one of them is Google. She's like, what's the difference? I'm like, not really anything, but the Google one's better.
Yeah. I mean, even, I guess, whether you argue for Apple or Google, the world has decided, the culture has decided that Google Maps is a superior option. So Apple Maps is my number 2.
Apple Maps is your number 2. That makes a lot of sense. For my first pick of things that are frankly just second best, I am going to select phone calls. Because I feel like there are 2 camps of people. There are people who prefer texting for everything, and then phone calls second, and then video chat third. Or there are people who are video call first for what they prefer, phone call second, texting third. And no matter kind of like which camp you're in, phone calls is always kind of like, yeah, that's going to be the second best option. Like, I'd rather text, like, just send me a text message. Or, okay, fine, give me a call. Or, hey, let's have a video chat and hang out. Or, we can talk on the phone.
You know, that's a good point. Yeah, almost nothing can be done over a phone call. Well, that's not true. Phone calls might be more efficient in some cases. It depends on the case.
Yes, but I will fully agree in some cases they're the best option. But they'll probably never be your favorite option.
Isn't that great how we've changed as a culture? I mean, text messaging used to not be a thing in our lifetime, like not that long ago. And then you just have to call people all the time.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to. It's great.
Yeah, you can. Well, which are you? Are you a text first, call second, or are you? Because I tried calling you the other day, and you didn't answer.
Yeah, well, that's because I keep my phone on silent all the time.
Okay.
Like, I try to always be in silent mode, and so if my phone is in my pocket, I just miss calls. And then when I pull it out, I realize, oh.
Because I called you, and like after a little bit, you sent me a text message. You said, "Hey, sorry, I was driving. What's up?" And then I responded, I texted you, I called you because I was driving. I literally sat down in my car and was like, oh, I'll give Noah a call while I'm driving.
And I thought something was wrong. Like, Ben's calling me. He's not Discord calling me. He's just phone calling me at like 1:30 in the afternoon. Something must be wrong.
Something must be horribly wrong. No, I was just driving and I was like, oh, I haven't called Noah in a while. I'll call him.
I'll give Noah a call.
Because I was driving, I couldn't text him, and nor could I video call him.
And then we never talked after that.
And then we didn't talk. I was so mad. So I pick phone calls.
That's a good one. Okay, so for my next pick, as I was making this list, I was just kind of looking around, looking at like the products in my house or just the things that are lying around, which led me to, of course, Lego. And so for my second pick, I went with Mega Bloks. Because
Ooh, not Duplo?
Well, Duplo's still owned by Lego. Like, they're just bigger Lego. But Mega Bloks they're compatible with Lego bricks. They have the same types of bricks. They also make construction sets. But they're just not quite as good. Like, the plastic doesn't feel quite as nice. They don't snap together quite as satisfyingly. The quality overall is not as good. As far as I know, they're a lot cheaper. So that is a major point in their favor, because Lego sets are just tremendously, outrageously expensive now. But,
Fact.
and you don't, it's like, this is going to give another one away that I was thinking of, but like if you grab a tissue, you might call it a Kleenex, but you're not going to call it a Puffs. You're not going to pick up some construction bricks and say, oh, are you playing with Mega Bloks? You're going to say, oh, are you playing with Legos? So, I don't know. I think they have some good products. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have any.
Girlfriend of Brian Stanley just sent in the Discord. She does not like anything pumpkin, and Brian says, I do not like lattes. So neither of them are on Team Pumpkin Spice.
If you don't just read the headlines, Ben, but you really dig into the content of the article, you'll see that girlfriend of Brian Stanley says that she supports those who choose to partake. And Brian says he is pro-pumpkin.
I never said I didn't support you. I just said I don't like pumpkin spice lattes. That's just called love. I love you, so I'll support you, but I don't like pumpkin spice lattes. Your life decisions are questionable, but I support you.
Okay, well, what if I take Brian, but you take Caitlin? How about that? 1-1.
For what? Wait, what? What are we taking them for?
The pumpkin camp. Brian is pro pumpkin.
Okay, so you have Mega Bloks. You have Mega Bloks. Sorry, coming back. That's a good pick. It's not like it's not name brand, but it's also not the name that you think of. I liked your example with like Kleenex. Same thing goes for Frisbee. Like, hey, throw me that Frisbee. Frisbee is a specific brand of discs, but they're called discs. For my second pick, I'm going with Wendy's. And in no way is this me saying that McDonald's is better than Wendy's. But if you like are honest with yourself and you sit down and think about fast food, McDonald's is always going to be the first thing that comes to mind because it is fast food. And I think second is always going to be Wendy's. Now, I personally prefer Wendy's over McDonald's. I think it's just, I can lie to myself more with Wendy's and say that, yeah, no, this isn't terrible for me. It's not McDonald's. But yeah, it's always going to be the thing that you compare McDonald's to.
And I think if you were to take a poll, I'd be curious to look this up. I feel like most people would say they prefer Wendy's to McDonald's. Or maybe not most, but I feel like more than 50% would say they prefer Wendy's to McDonald's. But you're right. McDonald's is the quintessential fast food, and Wendy's is kind of second place.
Yeah. I don't necessarily... No, that's not even true. Like, I like eating at Wendy's. It's not something I do all the time, but it's a decent place to get a chicken sandwich.
You can get a lot of food for pretty cheap there.
Exactly. I like that too. I like cheapness.
But McDonald's does not have the most locations of any fast food place.
Starbucks does, right? That's
well,
not really
I guess
fast food,
if you consider Starbucks, I would consider them more a coffee shop, but they do serve food. Last I checked, Subway had the most locations.
Oh, you are 100% right. And
which, if you think about it, I can think of like 10 Subways within walking distance of my house.
Yeah. There are actually more public libraries than there are McDonald's.
Is that true?
Yes.
Wow. That feels so hopeful.
I know, right? If you don't take anything else out of this experience, there are more libraries than there are McDonald's.
There are more readers. There are more people reading than there are going to McDonald's.
Well, I don't know about that. Noah, your third pick.
All right. This is where I start getting a little more controversial. And I don't think I'm going to get controversy in this call, but we'll see. My number 3 pick for number 2 is Star Trek. For a lot of the same reasons. It's one of those things you can argue. I don't know. Depending on the day, sometimes I would even say Star Trek is better than Star Wars. Like, your average Star Trek is better than your average Star Wars. But which one is bigger? Which one is more in the zeitgeist? You got to go Star Wars. And Star Trek is always kind of playing second fiddle.
You're 100% right. Because I do genuinely prefer Star Trek over Star Wars. Not that I dislike Star Wars anyway, but Star Trek is, I don't know. I think the newer movies of Star Trek are better than the newer movies of Star Wars. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But you're 100% right. Because I think more pop culturally, you're going to reference Star Wars before you reference Star Trek. Just as far as quoting, or like, you'll recognize Han Solo before you recognize, like, Bones. So,
right.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Star Trek. I'm compiling a list. I'm kind of going a similar direction with TV shows. I'm going to say American Idol. Because even though it was kind of the first thing, America's Got Talent is better.
Oh, I thought you were going to say The Voice at number 1.
Even The Voice. It may not even be number 2. I'm kind of giving it the number 2 spot just because it was first and it is kind of the OG of that, like, talent show kind of thing. But it just hasn't changed at all. And now I think it's kind of the second best talent show to kind of those America's Got Talent or The Voice or stuff like that.
Wow, I guess it's still going. Or they're about to reboot it, maybe? I don't know if it ever ended.
It's on season, like, 800.
Season 20.
And
wow.
I'd pay you... No, I wouldn't pay you anything, but, like, name one single artist that has come from American Idol.
Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't think any of them are idols, at least to me. I have not idolized a single member of American Idol.
Yeah. I might just replace that one with Simon Cowell.
Oh.
It's just the second best anything.
Kelly Clarkson.
And that's
Carrie
true.
Underwood. And Philip Phillips. Okay.
Oh, I forgot about Philip Phillips. I do like Philip Phillips.
I didn't know any of these people were American Idol winners, but I've heard of 3 of them out of 20 seasons. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Huh.
I also always think there's, like, you're going to meet someone in your life who, upon meeting them, as part of your initial conversation with them, it will come up the fact that they auditioned for American Idol. Like, I've met 3 or so people who've auditioned for American Idol in my life. I've never met anyone who's auditioned for anything else.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I've never met anybody that's auditioned for American Idol. But you're right. It's like I never hear anybody talking about it anymore. It's not like a water cooler show.
No.
When I go down to the living room where the water cooler is.
Where you keep your water cooler in your house.
And Jesse and I talk about what we're doing over the weekend and what TV shows we're into, how the kids are doing.
Noah, your 4th pick. So far,
All right.
you have Apple Maps, Mega Bloks, and Star Trek.
All right, we're going with another like household object that is usually referred to as another thing. If you were going to spray down your window with a cleaning solution, what would you say?
Lysol. Just kidding. Windex.
Right. So I went with 409 as my second pick. Because does Lysol have a
Interesting.
spray too?
I think so. They just like a generic window cleaner.
Okay, because you would never say, I'm going to go 409 the window. It's pretty much the same stuff as Windex, I think.
Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I do think Windex is number 1. But do you ever remember in your life seeing a Windex commercial on TV?
No.
I have a vivid
Just
memory
going to shut
of
you
a
down right there.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I have a vivid memory, because I've never seen a Windex commercial, but I have seen, and it's burned into my mind, a 409 commercial where they're like in a testing lab testing 410, and it like destroys everything. And they're like, nope, not ready for that. Just keep making 409. It's just a weird thing that apparently was a big part of my childhood.
You like distinctly remember, did you live in fear that they were going to release that into the market? And
No. But I think there's a part of me as a kid that was like, well, someday they'll release 410. They're eventually going to figure it out, and then we'll have 410 instead of 409.
But anyway, yeah, so my point is basically you never go 409 a window, you Windex a window, and therefore 409 still a good cleaner. We actually used it in photo shoots when I photo shoot lawnmowers, but it's just not Windex.
It's just not Windex. All right, for my 4th pick, I can't believe this hasn't been picked. I think this is one of the strongest contenders for best, second best thing. Thursdays.
Because it's not quite a Friday.
It's not Friday, but man, you're still kind of riding that Friday high on a Thursday. You're like, oh, especially when you get to the end of your workday on a Thursday, and you're like, I just have to do that one more time, and then it'll be the weekend. So
are
Thursdays.
Are you like I enjoy December 1st through 24th more than the 25th kind of person? Like I like the season better than the actual day. Like I like the anticipation of Christmas more than Christmas itself.
Well, what you have to remember is, for me, Christmas isn't a day. It's a feeling that you have inside of you.
It's 12
Second
days.
of all, it's 12 days. And it's the 12 days after Christmas, not the 12 days before Christmas.
That's true.
Anyway, but no, I kind of agree with you. Like, leading up to Christmas is so much fun. I was actually talking with one of my housemates about this, of like, like with the winter season, like in December, it's still bitterly cold and the nights are really long and it's dark and everything's dead, but it's Christmas season. So you kind of have like that hope, that joy. And then after that, it's kind of just like, now it's just cold and everything sucks.
Now it's cold. There's no holidays to look forward to. The next holiday is Valentine's Day.
Yep.
But who wants that?
And yeah, and depending on who you are, that might be wildly depressing.
Right.
But like Thursday is kind of like the Christmas season of Friday.
You get to enjoy the week's almost over.
So I'm going with Thursdays.
I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. For my final pick, I went something very, very niche or niche. I picked it just for myself. This is something I'm very passionate about that no one else that I know of is passionate about. But to me, it's very important, and I just need to share this when I get the opportunity, when I have a platform. So my final pick for number 2 is the Japanese soundtrack to the 1993 game for Sega CD, Sonic CD. The American soundtrack is just superior. Go listen to it. Tell me which is superior. The American soundtrack is superior. Does this have to do with my nostalgia and that I grew up on a PC version of the game that only had the American soundtrack? Probably. But that's why the Japanese soundtrack for Sonic CD is second place in my heart.
All right. I can't say I've ever heard either. There's not much discourse I can have with you over that.
It's okay. We don't need discourse. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm just going to have to resign to the fact that you are correct. Just because you went kind of like personal with yours and it's something that you specifically understand, I'll go the same route with mine. And I'm going to say for my last pick for things that are just second best, Brock's root beer.
Like
because,
the former president?
No, like it's BRAQ. Hang on, let me look for the correct spelling of it.
Oh, BRACH, isn't it? Like with the is that the no? That's not the one with the bulldog.
That's
it's
candy.
Just the silver one.
Yeah.
Oh, that is the candy.
Yeah, Brock's root beer, BRAQ. So Brock's root beer.
Oh, Barks.
Why? Barks. Oh,
yeah,
you're right. Barks.
The silver one.
Hang on. Rewind. My last pick for best thing is Barks root beer. Not Brock's. Who would ever call it that? Barks root beer. Because if you go to a restaurant and where that has the self-serve soft drink machine, and you're like, I want to get a root beer, and you see it has Barks root beer, you're like, oh, I was kind of hoping for like A&W.
Or
Mug root beer. Or mug root beer. I think mug is like if you're getting a can of root beer, you're always going to get mug root beer. If you're getting it from like a it's not soft serve, but soft drink like self-serve machine, you're always going to get A&W. But Brock's is there, and you're like, you know what? It's still root beer, and I'm still going to drink it, but I wouldn't choose it if there was a lineup of root beers.
Well, and to even further your point, Barks root beer is caffeinated.
From
what I understand. Yeah, like A&W root beer is caffeine free.
Yeah.
But Barks root beer has 22 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, you're right.
So for me, like someone that tries to avoid caffeine, if there's Barks root beer, I usually skip it.
Good to know. I'll stop drinking Barks at 10 p.m. like I have been every night.
Just crying like, I wish this was an A&W, and then he chugs it.
So,
yeah,
our lists are Noah, you have Apple Maps, Mega Bloks, Star Trek, 409, and the Sega Genesis something American or Japanese soundtrack. I didn't write it down. I wrote all the others down, but for Sonic CD. Mine, phone calls, Wendy's, American Idol, Thursdays, and Barks root beer.
I think we have some good lists. I have some other controversial takes, but I think this is good.
I didn't actually write this one down, but this was something I was thinking about. Adele.
Oh.
No one's going to choose to listen to Adele, but if you're on, you're like, okay.
Wow.
Sorry.
That is controversial.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because I've never listened to Adele, but
I also had Red Vines, but that can be controversial. Some people like Red Vines somehow.
Because they're better than Twizzlers. Jesse, agree with me.
I think my most controversial take is I was going to put dogs on the list.
What?
Saying they're second to cats, but
they aren't.
Yeah, they are, though.
As someone who has quite publicly in the past stated he doesn't like cats, but who is now admittedly coming around on cats, I'm starting to see their value. I think cats have a place in our world. Dogs are still so much better.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, you can feel that way. As a cat person, I'm just gonna. Cats are typically more passive and reserved, and I'm just gonna.
Aren't you horribly allergic to cats?
Yeah. That's probably why I like them, is I haven't spent any time around them, so I just formulate all these wonderful ideas of what they're like.
Love is pain. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Noah, can you post our lists on the website so people can review them?
I could do that.
Sweet. So you can review our lists there. Also, SpeakPipe us. Let us know, or you can write to us. We have an email as well. What are your lists of favorite second best things? I'd like to hear what other people have to say. I think this is an interesting thought experiment. I'm just kind of like going through that sort of stuff. So let us know. Go to noodlespodcast.com.
Noodlespodcast.com.
And let us know. But thank you all so much for listening. Noah, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week, month, however long it is before we talk to you again. But I hope it's great and grand because, you know what? We're all winners here. So thank you all so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later, and so will Noah. Noah, do you have anything you like to add?
No.
Okay, bye!